Got us another Lance in here, sitting on my old GMC. Let's go take a look at this thing. When you come up our shop here, and you come up the stairs, you have this nice catwalk here. You haven't done anything to it, it's got to get all protected and so forth. But you can walk right along here and look at your own coach if you ever come in and wanted to see it. But we're going to be getting rid of these. That's what we're going to do, get rid of that. And then we don't know what the decking's like yet, but this is what Dicor wants you to do, just keep slobbering some more on there. There's other products out there. Dicor just exploits people's ignorance to roof systems. Why they make a caulking that only lasts for 3 months, 4 months? If you think about it, I mean, that's just their cash cow. They could come up with a better system and a better caulking product. There's plenty of them out there. And, you know, on a commercial level, you don't go back and redo all these every 3 or 4 months. They'd go broke. They'd go broke, these big places. So you can see how we got some, like, pine needles and everything right there. Once we put the curb on there, you won't have that issue. I mean, you may have it there, but it's not going to try to compromise the gasket. Like up underneath here, you see how that's all corroded up on there. That's all. You won't have all that because you'll have it sitting up on a curb, right? You can wash it all away. You can see the cracks that we got around the plumbing. So those there. Obviously, we'll take the cover off, take a look at that, and then this one's going to hopefully be pretty straightforward. It doesn't sound, just by tapping on it, doesn't sound compromised, but we never know until we actually open it up. There's one concern I saw on the other side. This is just a ladder mount that we took off here. That's what that's for. We took that off. But this is something that we saw right here. And I'm going to explore that. And then I'm looking in here, see there's a crack right here. And I got some buoyancy in here. It's a little puffy. So I'm wondering if some water has gotten down inside there. So some people say, I've had comments on there, they say, hey, if we don't use Dicor, what do we use? Almost anything else. We just don't use off-the-shelf silicone or anything like that. Don't use any of that. I know Lowe's, or Home Depot rather, they sell Quad. You can use that. If you want to use Quad, go over with that. You go over with Lexel is a pretty good product. But that's not a bad product, Lexel. So there's a big stretch is by Sasco. Sasco makes a lot of good products. We got another compromise right here. So you get these little chronic leaks. It doesn't have to get a whole pouring of water. It just needs a little bit of water all the time. Those are your chronic leaks, and that's what will cause some of the damage like this. So obviously some water got in there. Did it get in there right from this? I'm not sure, but I want to make sure this whole rail, this edge, when we take this off, I want to make sure it's okay. Water could have got in down by these screws on both sides. That's possible, you know. So that's what we try to, I want to stop these problems. I don't want them to rear their ugly heads again. But like I said, this is coming off. This antenna is coming off. This is a solar mount right here. Wow, okay, so we do have some damage right here. You can see that. Let's see, I'll get my knife out here for you. Trying to get so you can see what I'm working on. Yeah, we got a little bit of damage there, I would say. That's all rotted in there. Just want to watch these wires. They should be down inside there. They shouldn't be coming up through here. So you can see all that mulch right here. So you know we got some issues up underneath there. So we'll have to address that. Looks like there's been numerous things here. It must have been something mounted here is my guess. But that's not the right way to mount something on here. So we're going to have to put a roof deck on it at least. You know, but this is the foam underneath here. This is just 1/8 inch that they put on, and then underneath this, it should be foam. Yep, there it is. Okay, there's foam on there. So that's all it's comprised of. More than likely, there's just probably a couple of struts that go across. On the last couple that we did like this, it was about every 50 inches. It had an aluminum frame that went all around the perimeter of the coach, the camper, and then there was just 2 that went across. and they're just cheap alloy. They're just cheap alloy. Now that sounds pretty good there. And even that, as you hit it, it sounds good, but when we tear it up, that's why I say you never know until you actually get into it how bad. Some of it is very obvious like this, but some of it isn't. And the shame about it is this actually is a pretty good membrane. It's not a bad membrane at all. It's a pretty thick membrane, but the problem is they don't have these things built up on curbs and they didn't seal it right. But this really is. It's a good membrane on here. I'm looking at it now, and you can tell. You can look right in there. That's a structured membrane, and that's what we use, is a 60 mil structured membrane. This is probably a 40. This feels like a 45. But again, a 45 is still a good membrane, but it doesn't matter how good it is if you don't do everything properly, you know. That's, again, you need to have these curbs up on here. It elevates everything off the roof line. That is the way a commercial roof functions. So one of the other things I don't like, I think I'm going to go on the other side and show you that. It's about that plumbing right there. And if you have one of these, maybe I can help you prevent a leak in the future. But a lot of times, let's see if I get this camera right. Sorry for all this squirreliness, you know. I'm just trying to get all this information out. I've had some folks say that my videos make them seasick, but you know, right in here where I'm trying to get in, a lot of times I don't put caulking in there, and the water will get up inside here and it'll just get down. There's a screw right there. This is a screw right in here, and it'll get up underneath that screw from this bottom side, and that's something you'd want to be mindful of. So if you have one of these, see how they put the caulking on around here, but you can see even on this one right here in particular, if you got the pine needles, I'm going to try and zoom up a little bit. Hopefully it won't blur out. But, you know, I can see right there, doesn't look like there's any caulking in there, so you can get water down inside there and it would cause some damage. So if you have one of these, make sure you get caulking up inside this area there, okay? Get some caulking up inside there. On this antenna, oh, we can go back over there. On this antenna over here, a lot of common leaks, and this may be where this one came from, because you can see that somebody has put some caulking on here, but a lot of times water will run down this wire, and as it goes down that wire, it'll go inside there. It looks like somebody has tried to seal that, and that's the way you do it. Just pull this up. This rubber is just a sleeve, and then you can load it and then push it down. If you want it up inside there and you want it to ooze out, that would be the best way to do it. But you can see how this is all failed all around here, so obviously this has been an antenna issue that started this problem. That's one of the reasons why we do not like these crank up antennas, and all our antennas are going to get mounted up on a curb. Don't know the exact antenna this coach is going to get, this camper is going to get, but whichever one it gets, whether it's one of the Z1s, they're stationary but they still turn, but they don't come up. And the other reason we're going to have to replace, when I do put a curb in there, there's a shaft that comes all the way down and it goes inside, and that's what you crank. And if I build a curb, the handle on the inside, it only bites on there about 3/8 of an inch or so. And by the time I build the curb for it, that shaft will be recessed up inside the ceiling and you'd never get the handle back on. I know some folks said, hey, you can take these apart and you can do all this. These things don't get in that well. They're not that great of an antenna. So I just suggest upgrading it, but I really don't want to start tearing an antenna apart for the sake of trying to replace a shaft, especially when you can just upgrade the antenna. You know, by the time you figure out and calculate all the time you got to do to it, I can just get an antenna. And it would come in better. So, but that's about where we're at with this, and we're going to get to work on it. Looks like even on this one, I keep staring at this one over here, but it looks like right there in that same area, doesn't look like there's any caulking in there either. See, to me it looks, if there's anything in it, probably dirt. So, and you can also see how shallow you got right here on the base of the air conditioner. There's just a little foam gasket under there. It's it. Well, it needs to be elevated up, because all that water coming across there, and even on a heavy storm, you get a lot of water and all that wind blowing, it's just going to keep pounding on that poor little foam gasket, and it just can't keep all that water out. Once that starts getting compromised, and then all that moisture and the dirt that gets up in there, you can see all the dirt. Well, when that dirt dries out and everything, it's going to start drying out any moisture that may possibly be in that little foam gasket to keep it nice and plush. And then you end up with a gasket that fails, and then obviously it's how you get leaks. So These need to be elevated. You can see all the pine needles and all that stuff getting trapped underneath there. You don't want all that. You want to be able to come up here and clean this roof off. All these little things that trap, they're going to trap water. If they can't flow right, water's got to go somewhere, and it may find another direction in the coach. So, anyhow, it's I'm really amazed at how bad this one is, though. Right here, that's really bad. How bad the caulking is all around there. That's just butyl tape. That's all that is. You can see it's just popping right out of there. So, this is what we use to check the roofs. And all we do is just go around with this. It's just a cement joining tool. You can get these at Home Depot as well. They're like $5, $6. But they're easy enough to where you can go around. All I do is just round that over with a grinder. So it's not too sharp. Just take some of the blunt out of it. But then you can coast around and see what's compromised on here, right? So, all right, well, let us get to work. We're going to start tearing this apart. We're going to start protecting all this. And then double checking this whole area too. See right here? So that's moving right there. So that's something I want to... I'm just pressing that with my thumb. So my guess is you probably got some delam and some rot up in this way right here. So we're going to check all that out as well. All right, we'll be back. Keep you posted. Well, these are Lance. No, that backup recording on it. All right, these are Lance. And you can see right here we've got how much the ceiling's already dropped, but this is soaked. Is absolutely soaked. You can see some of the sheen right there from the water. We got to get a blower on this thing and dry it out. And that's where we had some issues over here too. I think the antenna was sitting right here, and but that's what we got right now. So we can't do anything until we get this dry. And then what we'll do is once we get it dry, then we're going to put some mold kill on it. We'll probably put some more mold kill on it, but it's easier for it to soak in. It doesn't look like there's really mold. It just looks like it's wet. Usually you can smell that, you know, and that would be indicative there's something there. So, but it doesn't look like we're going to have a sealing issue. I know the last couple ones we did, we had to do sealing, because I'm looking over there, and all that decking around there looks fine, and even the sealing up underneath there looks pretty good. So, we'll check out some of this. Obviously that's wet, and this is wet, and I'm hoping, but it feels solid. And that's still pretty much stuck right there. Actually, it is stuck. It's wiggling because it's not glued to this over here. So, we can get all that back in play. Let's see if we can salvage this without having to put a whole new roof sealant on here. That's just a big job. Otherwise, I mean, the rest of this looks pretty good. So that's where we're at so far. We got some delam right here. So we're going to address this, see what's going on with that. Right here. And it was going down a little bit over there. So we're going to check all that out as well. One of these was coming loose over here. The piece was coming loose already. I think it was this one here. I think I already showed that. But you can see there's delam right here because it's pushing in. So we want to investigate and see what's going on with all that as well. Well, we got it open. We may have to obviously peel that open and maybe even dry that out as well. We had some blowers on here yesterday. All this is dry. But we come in to do a prudent inspection, and now the ceiling is all soaked. So that's what we're trying to figure out. We've got some delam down inside here. All the way down. This is all delammed. So that's what we're doing now, is seeing just whereabouts this thing goes. But we're going to have to get blowers on this thing all day today, at the very least. And then we got to see where we're going to go, if we can salvage these or not. I'm not sure. If we can, we will. They could be wet, not moldy. We can salvage it. I don't know. More to come. As you remember earlier, we were talking about how this looked like it was pulling away. So we get down inside here. There's all, obviously all delam. But look what they did. There's the foam. See those holes? That's the hole there for this. They put the screws in foam. And when I come down here, like obviously it's not going to hold. But what was all that about? They put one of those plastic shields in there. That was their plan, to get that together. So that's what kind of pulled all this apart. So we're going to obviously change that so we don't have that issue again. That was just plain out stupid. How they expected to sit in the foam? All right. Now we're getting into this Lance here, and we still got some wetness right up in here. You can see all that right there. And this has been in the dry for a while. So we're going to tear all this up here. We're going to end up redecking the whole thing, putting a whole new lid on it. But one thing that's different about this lance and the other ones, it's got a better frame structure on it. The other lances that come in, they didn't have anything in here. These are 2006. So I haven't been keeping track of the years. But again, I say I've got more ribs here. And the last couple I remember doing, there was only a couple of ribs going through the whole thing. So these ones got more. So that's going to help us build that back together better. And this actually seems to be a better aluminum on here than the other that we've worked on. So this alloy looks much better, much stronger aluminum, and it seems much flatter. I don't have that big dipping going on. So, but the big concern I do have is all the rot over here. So I got to put a new sealant in. And now when we put a new sealant in, the texture over on this side, it's not going to match. So I have to pull that up just for the mere fact of redoing the sealing. So when I do that, I got to find out where all my wires are. That's what we're doing now, locating all the wires. We'll mark them all. They all get labeled so we know where they go. So we go inside and we label them all like this so we know exactly where they go. And then we draw a schematic for it, and then we also take pictures so we know where everything goes. And then we just hook it right back up. It's really not that hard once you know where everything goes. But that's where we're at right now. So I got to get all this foam up and everything, and we'll show you as we go along here. But that's where we're at so far with this lance. Yet another lance. So all of these, look at this wire right here. I don't know if you can see that one in particular. It's just a coax, but you can see it's compromised because there's no bushing on here. So a few of them have some chafes on them, but that should have a bushing, and most of them do. Like these speaker ones, see that? There's one there. There's another one right here, you can see that. So they have them in there, they just didn't have it in that one there. Not sure why. And here's a bigger concern I would have is these two wires. These are for solar. And boy, that would have a heck of an arc on it, don't you think? If that's shorted out, let's see what we got. I'd like to see what those wires look like. Oh, look at there. Is that a bare spot? Let's see if that's that or if it's wood. This may be some booger. It's booger around there. That's all that is, some wood. So, but that's something that we want to look for. We don't want to put it back that way and have a problem with it, right? So we'll end up putting a bushing in there. We pull all these. I got a dead wire here. I don't know where that goes to. This is dead. It looks like it may possibly be a ground or something. But we'll keep it there and we'll bundle them together and we'll put an access so he can get at them if he needs them. Coax for the antenna. Here's another one for the TV. That one's probably for the satellite if they decide to put one on. So we're getting there. Now we draw it all out and then we start ripping it up. The easiest way to replace that sailing panel is by taking this up. And I got to redeck it anyway, so it's no big deal. And I got to rebuild all of that anyhow, so I only got another 2 panels. We got this section of the roof out, as you can see, roof ceiling. This is your slide out. You see right here, that's compromised right there. And the way they do these, they bring the roof in, and then they fold this piece this way. They put a piece of metal stripping in there to hold that down, then they fold the roofing back over. See the band in there? So now you're going to get water. It'll come in here and it'll leak. And that's it. That's how they do it. It's barely even pinched because it's not pinched on there. You see? Well, all this will just break. All they do is run a bead of caulking on there. Yep. So obviously we're going to fix that. So we'll check it all the way down there. So we're going to rebuild one section. We'll get another section out and rebuild that. This frame is part, I think it's number 2, but this is your bathroom skylight. Look at there. There's nothing here to hold it. They did weld it here. That's probably the best weld I've ever seen on any one of them. But there's no strength here, so we're going to add some strength into that because there's just nothing there. All they relied on was the foam and then the sheathing on there, but it really should have been brought back over here. There's no reason why they wanted to cheat somebody. I don't know how much money Lance saved by omitting 4 inches of tubing to bring over there and take it back in, right? So, and there's a pretty good weld. Most of the other welds are not like that at all. You know, those are some good ones on there. And normally, so they only do one side. You know, I'd like to, if it were mine, I would have done both sides, just might as well round it up there. We're going to tack it all together, and we're going to glue it all together, but we're going to fix that. I'm going to put a stretcher piece. Okie doke, here we are, back at our lance. So we had to fix this front piece. So we put a piece of aluminum in there. Then we also put one over here too, to finish off this side, because this was de-lammed anyways. So what we did is fix it and put this piece of aluminum on here. That'll just dress it out, that's all it does. And we had to tape up the corners over here, and we did the same down there. And we'll put some sealant on that. And that'll get that. Now we're just trying to get the actual sealant panels in, and that's what we're doing. This is an insert trim that goes up in the side where the two panels come together, so it looks nice and clean. That's what we're trying to put in over there. Then we got this with some wires and securing this panel down. Then we still got to glue all the new insulation. This is an ISO panel. This is a closed cell. This will have better R value than the polystyrene that you had up in here. This is all commercial grade. All right, now we're filling all this in. This is an adhesive that we're filling in. We're getting new decking on here. And we're going to be able to get a roof on this real quick. That's what we're doing now. So everything will be all glued together. So as I showed you on some of these, the welds weren't good. Well, when they do the foam isn't typically adhered to the frame. So what we did is we adhered it all together. It's all glued together now. So even if those welds aren't so great or even that frequent, then the glue will keep it all together. Alright, this is our lance. We are done. Here is our logo, rvri.com, December 19. So she is put together, ready to go. See you, bye. Next. Alright, so what we got over here on this side, this was the side that had the plastic inserts in there to hold the awning on. So we dropped a piece of 16 gauge steel so we could screw the awning back on, because that was terrible. And then we changed out all this insert trim right here. We changed all of that out. I'll show you that in a minute. And then on this side, same thing. They had a couple of little screws holding this big awning on there, so we were able to find the actual frame in there, and we were able to get a couple of extra screws in there. So we put more screws in, and then we put some anchors on each side. So we got all that secured as well. And then now these are all heat welded. Everything's all heat welded in here. There's all heat welded, and then this is a portable that we use, and that's it. It's done. You're never going to have a leak there. Same thing with our ladder. You're not going to have a leak over here. You can see how we fill those boots up. And then again, all that's heat welded all around the curb that we designed. All heat welded. So you don't have all that erosion effect that happens with that die core. See, the die core, they put them right down, and then all that water keeps coming across here as you're driving, traveling, getting caught in rain, and then it'll start eroding that. So this here, we don't have a cover for it because that is so high, and it's a power fan. So we're going to have to let the owner select which one he wants, but it's going to open up, and if you have the wrong cover on there, it'll open up a little bit, but the fan won't kick on. So you can see we made the custom curb for this hatch, and then we got the plumbing. We got plumbing. What's great about the plumbing, again, same design here, same boot, but we'll say a branch knocks this off. If a branch knocks that off, that's all sealed. And that's just spring-loaded. This is just a spring-loaded piece. So even if it did pop off, any water would go right down into the holding tank. We've got our stands right there on the back of the AC just to give it some balance. We also have right up front, we've got a piece of counter flash. And we put that there. See if that'll focus in a little better. The reason why we put that on there, so now you get caught in the rain. Yeah, the heavy storm is raining today, and the water is rushing. It's going to hit our counter flash, it's going to hit up, and it's going to roll out. That's what we want. It has the same design on the AC, however, up underneath is a foam gasket. So on the sides of the air conditioner, it's got corrugation, so it's real hard. The water, when the water does get on there, it's going to roll right out. On the front, it doesn't have that. And I don't want water to come down the front of the cover and then try to trickle back into that foam gasket. So that's why we put that piece of counter flash on there. See? Right there. We put that on there. So this way, it'll hit that, drip down, fire up. It's off that way. Custom curb for the antenna as well. So we've got all of this is all double sealed. Everything is double licked right here. So there's caulking underneath here. And you can see, like, we put so much on there, we get these little rings around there. That's what we want. We want those little rings in there. That tells me it's sealed really well. Go around it with 2 strikes. Once we put this on, then we strike it down, we put another strike, and then yet another strike on there. And we do that because this is just an example. We don't use Lexel, but I like it because it is so clear. You can see those bubbles in there. So as you're going along and you're applying caulking, you'll hear it pop and crackle. You just injected an air bubble. And when you inject an air bubble in there, this thing racks, twists, flexes going down the road, it could breach. And if it does, then you got a leak. So we always put 2 strikes on there. This insert trim, well, what are the chances of having one air bubble over another one, right? It'd be slim to none. I'd probably hit the lottery a few times a year if that would have happened. But so this insert trim, let's see if I got a piece over here. This is our insert trim right here. See the groove in there? All right. This is what they usually use. This is what the RV industry uses. This cheap stuff. Well, not that. That's the black that I use. Go back over here. Because the black was special order. You can't even buy it. I had a special order. I had to buy 10,000 linear feet of that. But this is what they use. And you can see how it just snaps into the track. See if I can show you a better angle. It just snaps in that track. See? The water can still get in there. So with this, turn it around. With this here, with that groove in it, see if I can zoom up a little bit. You can see that groove. It goes in there, in this track, over here, squirrely thing. It goes in there and over, so it locks the water out. And that's important on certain coaches, especially vertical ones, where the water can travel behind this cheap stuff. And then we also put in here because I don't want water getting in here and just festering around, you see. So that locks it all out. We're done with that. The black, like I said, you can't buy that. I had to special order it. And we don't sell anything here. If you're watching our videos for the first time, we do not sell anything. These are not DIY videos. We're putting this together so when the owner, he sees all the work we did, right? You can see what we did. But these are not DIY videos. We don't sell any curbs. We don't sell any roofing. We don't sell anything at all. The curbs and all of that, that's all proprietary to us. And even the insert trim, you can find the white online. The white is, I know AP Products makes some, and mainly I think one of the people on the YouTube was saying that they found it on eBay. But I buy it in huge quantities. In fact, the black that I had to buy is sitting right there. I had to buy all that black right there in order to get it. So here's a curb for the antenna, and like I said, we got the curb there, everything like I said all double licked, sealed, and ready to go. So this is a 60 mil commercial grade roof. That's what it is. It's the same exact roof system you're going to find. And actually the whole roof, the way it's put together, will pass commercial building code. But this is a 60 mil commercial grade TPO is what it's called, and you can see all those little squares. That's a structured membrane, it's called, and it will. This is the face side up. This resists impacts of hail, tree branches, and things like that. Even if you did happen to get a tree branch coming through this, you can seal it. We have some products that you can seal it in an emergency, but we can do a hot patch on it. So much like we heated up this logo right here, right on that, we can do the same thing and hot patch it. It won't affect the warranty. So it's this is a 20-year system. We like to open these up, and if you've been watching this video, you see all the stuff that we had to go through to pull this back together. But you know, I know there are other systems out there that have you know, the spray on and so forth. But again, those, you don't know what you're going over. You have to know what you're going over to make sure everything's going to come together well. And on here, since we had 2 panels that were rotted, we ended up doing the whole thing. And once we pull the truck out, I'm going to show you the inside, show you how good that come out, because it looks really good inside there as well. So, all right, so let's get this truck moved, and then I'll show you the inside. Sorry about that blur. It must be something on the lens. All right, this is the inside. You see we put a nice new sealant in there. Put all new trim that goes across there as well. All of these that go across. This one here. It's almost like, if you get in there with a camera, I think it would be just worse. So you should be able to get a good visual of what we did here. Looks nice and clean though. Nice and clean. That's what we do here. Thanks for watching.